working press. No comment. Got it?
We'd like a statement, Mr. Dalton.
Not just now, please. See me in court.
I understand there's a $1 million civil suit against you. Is that true?
No comment.
Oh, Sam, come on.
One thing at a time.
When did you take the case, Sam?
When Mr. Dahl contacted me and sent me a retainer from Mexico City.
Is Mr. Calburn still in Mexico City?
I don't know.
Is he in San Francisco?
I don't know anything about Mr.
Well, Mr. Dalton.
Where is he now?
I hear he's got a woman there. Is that right?
I can't say.
Well, Calburn was named in the same indictment as you, wasn't he?
I haven't seen the indictment, sir.
Is Calburn going to answer?
Will he be extradited?
No way to extradite him.
Don't tell us you don't know anything about Leo Calburn.
Excuse me, please.
What's the matter?
Why don't you fellas wait until we have some real information?
Come on, Sam,
together,
give us
huh?
your side of the story.
This isn't going to be an easy day. This is just the beginning.
You get me out of here in the name of God.
Oh, come on, Sam.
Wait a minute.
We gotta turn the story
Just a
around.
minute, please.
Hey, Mr. Dalton.
Wait a minute. Come on, wait a minute. Let him get his breath.
After we get his picture.
Right now.
What did he expect?
Now, just a minute. This man is a client of mine, and he returned to this country of his own free will.
Did he bring back any of the money he took, Sam?
Who says he took any money?
Well, the indictment.
Well, I don't say he took any money, and you fellas better not say it in any of your newspapers. Yes, there was a grand jury indictment. But unless a jury in superior court finds him otherwise, this man is presumed to be innocent till his guilt is proved to a moral certainty and beyond a reasonable doubt. Suppose you think it's a little early in the day for drinking, Mr. Tabor. This isn't liquor. A very fine physician in Mexico City assured me that this would... Thank you. Assured me that this would keep my ulcer from digesting itself, which it's had a tendency to do of late.
An ulcer?
Quite a formidable one. Let's go. Come on. Feeling better? Yes, thank
What
you.
happened to your newspaper bird?
They're down there. Verdict coming up, Department 65. Oh, yeah, Harry. Come on, will you? You're late. I want you to meet a friend of mine. Harry Owens. This is Richardson Dahl.
I'm sorry I'm late tonight. I had to take the kids to school. I can't get them out of the house in the morning.
When Harry says he can't get the kids out of the house, he really means it. He's got 5 little girls.
Oh, I envy you. The bathrooms. If we only had more bathrooms in the house, Sam.
We ought to be on the docket by now.
I'll speak to the bailiff. Come on, Mr. Dahl.
Harry, listen. I want you to go upstairs to the clerks and be ready to post bond for him.
Dalt?
Yeah, you heard me.
Oh, I think we should talk about this, Sam.
You're in the bail bond business, aren't you?
Oh, yeah?
All right, then we talked about it.
Wait a minute, Sam. Mitchell Dalt, he ran out once, didn't he?
Once, Harry, not twice. You want me to get somebody else?
I want to think about it, Sam.
Look, Harry, I want to get him out of here as fast as I can. Go on, will you?
Sam.
Very well. Your bail is set at $4,000. You will appear for trial on May 28th at 9 o'clock in the morning. Mr. Benedict, do you wish to bring a matter to this court's attention?
Yes, Your Honor. I wish to surrender Mr. Mitchison Dalt.
Mr. Benedict so informed the district attorney this morning, Your Honor, and we are ready to proceed.
Very well, we'll proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Your Honor, the file.
Thank you. I take it all parties are ready in the matter of the people versus Dahl?
Ready, Your Honor.
Mr. Clerk, arraign the defendant.
Mitchison Dalt, you've been indicted by the grand jury on 32 counts of embezzlement and 5 counts of violating the insurance code of the state of California. Is Mitchison Dalt your true name?
I changed my name some years ago, sir.
But Mitchison Dalt is now your legal name?
Yes, Your Honor.
Let the record show that I am handing your attorney, Mr. Benedict, a copy of the indictment against you.
Thank you. Mr. Benedict, you waive the reading of the indictment?
Yes.
Mr. Dalt, how do you plead? Guilty or not guilty?
The defendant pleads not guilty.
Is that your plea, Mr. Dalt?
That's correct, Your Honor, not guilty.
Your Honor, we request that the court fix bail at this time.
Mr. Benedict, this is not an ordinary case. The amounts of money involved are extremely large. And Mr. Dalt was a fugitive from justice for over 5 months. I therefore set bail at $50,000.
Your Honor, there are certain circumstances here which are not readily apparent.
No? Well, go ahead, Mr. Benedict.
Prior to this indictment, the defendant was a respected member of this community. It's true, he fled this jurisdiction and found sanctuary in Mexico. Now, Your Honor knows that our extradition treaty with Mexico prevents extradition except for heinous crimes. My client could have stayed in Mexico, immune from this prosecution, but he chose to return to San Francisco. And his very presence here this morning is eloquent proof of his intention to stand trial.
Very well, bail is fixed at $25,000. Now, gentlemen, what about a trial date? 2 weeks from today, the 14th at 9 a.m.?
Well, Your Honor is aware, of course, that this is a very complicated case. 2 weeks is a very short time in which to prepare.
The court has complete confidence in your ability, Mr. Benedict.
That's very kind, Your Honor, but...
May 14th at 9 in the morning?
Yes, Your Honor.
Sit right over here. Oh, wow, I thought I could go.
Your bond is posted, Mr. Dalt.
Tell Harry Owens, $25,000.
And I want to talk to Dalt alone.
Right.
It's good to be home.
Home may not be so good, Mr. Dalt. Besides the indictment, the new officers on board of the Adelphic Insurance Company are seeking to recover $822,000 stolen dollars. The state's case is completely based on their attitude.
I don't have $822,000 or pesos or pennies. I never took one dime from Adelphic.
Well, somebody took it. How did it happen? Come on, who took it? Who stole it? How did it work?
Oh, it was very ingenious. Our vice president in charge of claims, Dan Williams, would pick policies out of the files and make false claims using the names of the actual policy holders. Then our president, ex-president Leo Calvin, approved them.
Well, so did you, according to this.
Oh, yes. As treasurer of the company, I paid them off without question. Then Leo would countersign them, and then either he or Williams would forge the endorsements, and they split the money. Mr. Benedict, believe me, I didn't know what was going on until the day that my secretary apprised me of the fact that Leo Calvin had taken a very sudden trip to Mexico. Do you believe me?
Well, I don't know. Belief and faith are two different things. But you did return to this country voluntarily, and that goes a long way with me in the court. Look, as treasurer, all of those canceled checks would have come back across your desk, wouldn't they?
At least I did.
And you never noticed the forged endorsements?
No, I didn't. I didn't because they were perfect. You see, everything that Leo Calvin did was perfect.
Tell me, just why did you run, Mr. Dalt?
Panic? You see, I've reached the stage in my life where I realize that I panic very easily. That morning that I heard about Leo, I also heard at the same time that Dan Williams had gone for a swim and played a game of singles with his son. And then, very quietly, in a quiet place, placed a pistol in his mouth and blew the back of his head off.
Yes, Mr. Tibbetts. Yes, I understand. Mr. Tibbetts, would you hold on a minute, please? I'll see if Mr. Benedict can speak to you. Mr. Benedict, it's Mr. Tibbets on the phone. He has a problem, and Yes, sir. Mr. Tibbets, Mr. Benedict doesn't think you have a case. He suggests you take the nail and the salami back to Max's Delicatessen and ask Max to give you a new salami without a nail in it. You're welcome, Mr. Tibbets. Goodbye.
But I've got to see Mr. Benedict right now. It's very, very important.
Well, I'm terribly sorry,
Mrs. Herman Beasley. But I don't think it'll be Mrs. Herman Beasley very long if I can prove what I think I can.
Perhaps if you'd explain to me what you want to see Mr. Benedict about, I might be able to help you.
Do you know what's in here? It's hair, blonde hair. I picked it off my husband's suit this morning. He claims it came from a Cocker Spaniel, but I have reason to believe that the Cocker Spaniel he's talking about is a blonde about 5'2" with eyes of blue.
Mrs. Beasley, this is not a crime laboratory. I suggest you take the hair to a laboratory, find out whose hair it is, and then if you decide you want a divorce, I'll make an appointment for you to see Mr. Benedict.
I'll do just that.
Yes. All right, thanks, Tom. Get that material back to me as soon as you can.
Sam, I just talked to
You
Ibanez
said
in
the
Mexico
forgeries
City.
were excellent, but they were forgeries.
Well, if a handwriting expert is that positive, you might be able to convince a jury that a sick, worried man would let those forgeries slip by.
We'd never convince a jury of anything unless we have competent, credible evidence to show them. We'd never get a verdict on this.
Plus Dalt's testimony?
Oh, Hudnall would tear them apart. Yes, Trudy. Tell Siebert to wait a minute and come in with your pad. The one man in the world that can clear Mitchison Dalt is Leo Calburn. Oh, Trudy, I want you to type out a motion for discovery. The items in question are the Adelphic Insurance Company's records now being held by the district attorney's office. I want it filed and served this afternoon. Have Siebert come in. That should give us a look in about a week, huh?
I talked to Ibanez in Mexico City. Ibanez says the trip would be useless. Calvin won't cooperate, and why should he?
Well, his conscience, maybe. A fugitive doesn't sleep well no matter how much money he has. Oh, sorry to hold you up, Jack. You know my assistant, Hank Tabor.
We sit down now.
Good morning.
Well, good to see you. Sit right down there.
Mr. Buchanan, you've been awfully patient, and I'm afraid Mr. Benedict won't be able to see you today.
Oh, I don't mind waiting.
Well, perhaps you could tell me what you want to see him about.
Well, you see, miss, I make these.
Oh!
And I'm having a problem with the patent.
Oh, well, then I'm afraid Mr. Benedict wouldn't be able to help you. He's not a patent attorney.
Oh, I have a patent attorney, all right. But I don't think I'm getting a fair deal on my agreement. That's why I want to see a good trial lawyer. Do you like toys?
Oh, yes, of course.
Oh, I have all kinds of toys for children. Do you like children?
Very much.
Would you like to have one? I mean the toy. Would you like one for your nephew or someone, Mrs.
Miss Wagner. Oh, would you excuse me, please?
I'm sorry. May I come back later, Miss Wagner?
I'd be glad to arrange an appointment for you, perhaps tomorrow.
The day shall not be up so soon as I to try the fair adventure of tomorrow.
That's beautiful.
That's Shakespeare. Good day, Miss Wagner.
Garfield 10713. No, I'm sorry. Mr. Benedict is tied up right now. May I take a message for him?
It seems everybody's been reading the newspapers today, especially my board of directors. You know why I'm here, Sam?
I know why I'm here.
Well, this will make the financial dailies all over the world. We're selling management systems, computers to regulate internal accounting procedures. Now, it won't look right if our general counsel represents an embezzler.
An alleged embezzler, an accused embezzler, an unproven embezzler.
Whatever he is, whatever the issue, the image of our company will suffer. Image is important, Sam.
So is my client. I suppose your board of directors sent you here.
Well, as their public relations man, I have to be here, Sam. You, feel very strongly about this.
Yes, I do, because it touches on the 6th Amendment of the Constitution. I can't allow a board of directors to tell me how to run my law practice.
You can't pass up the money they pay you either.
Ah, you're right. I can't. Look, do me a favor, will you? Ask that board of directors of yours. Tell them I'd like to talk to them. Would you do that?
Done.
Good boy. Well, Trudy, come on in.
Picture drink?
No, thank you.
Bit gaudy, huh?
What was your salary at Adelphic?
20,000 a year.
That would just about pay the rent on a place like this if you didn't have to pay income tax.
That's just about right, Mr. Tabor.
No. Mr. Dalt, there's a civil suit against you for almost $900,000. Your ability to make restitution is very important. Who pays the rent here?
My wife. Oh, the late Mrs. Dole. She used to pay it on a yearly basis. As a matter of fact, in 2 more months, I won't be able to afford a $2 hotel room.
You told Mr. Benedict that you panicked. We have to make a jury believe that. To do that, we have to know how you think, how you feel, what you're afraid of, what you're ashamed of. More about you, Mr. Dalt.
You're very young, Mr. Tabor. You're much younger than I am in years, and I'm afraid you're a bit more mature. Well, I changed my name because it wasn't right. It was a foreign name. It wasn't a proper name for a man who wanted to join the right clubs, marry the right sort of girl. So I ran away from my name for the same reason that I ran away from my family.
What made you stop running, Mr. Dalt?
Homesick. I've always led a responsible life. Unproductive unless you happen to be a tennis fan. So I was in Mexico. All sorts of people assured me, including Mr. Calburn, that no law could touch me. They couldn't force me to come back here now. They were wrong. Because, unfortunately, there is a law unless you know how to run. And it happens to be right here, about 6 inches above my beautiful ulcer.
Mr. Dalt, did you take any of that money?
No, I didn't. So, where do we go from here?
For now, I think you should get some rest.
Right now. May I take a message for him? Oh, yes, Mr. Sainsbury. Well, I don't think he's going to be able to speak at that dinner, but I'll be glad to call it to his attention. Not at all. Goodbye.
Well, Mrs. Beasley, good news or bad news?
Both.
Oh?
I've had the hair analyzed at the laboratory like you suggested.
Which was it, the dog's or hers?
The dog's.
That should make you very happy.
I know it should, but it doesn't.
Oh?
The woman in the apartment next door owns a long-haired Cocker Spaniel.
Oh.
What should I do?
Well, you could hire a private investigator.
Wouldn't that be awful sneaky-like?
Yes, it would.
Then I'll do it.
Oh, excuse me.
Man.
I'm terribly sorry.
You do seem to have a talent for choosing the wrong time, Mr. Buchanan. I don't expect Mr. Benedict in till late today.
Well, I have a confession to make, Miss Wagner. I really didn't come to see Mr. Benedict, at least not this time.
Me?
Yes, Miss Wagner. Does it shock you?
Well, what did you want to see me about, Mr. Buchanan?
Well, the face of a lovely woman to me is like the sound of children's laughter.
Shakespeare?
Buchanan. Would you think it presumptuous of me to, well, to ask you to go to dinner with me?
I don't think it's presumptuous at all, but...
Tonight?
I don't know. Garfield 10713. No, I'm sorry, Mr. Benedict isn't in right now. May I take a message for him? Yes, sir, I will. Goodbye.
Hello. May I help you?
I came to see you, Mr. Benedict.
I'm Mr. Tabor. I'm an associate of Mr. Benedict's. Come in.
I would like to see Mr. Benedict.
I'm afraid he's not in right now. Can I help you? What's your name?
I can't tell you.
Oh, I think you can. Why don't you try?
I can only see Mr. Benedict. Thank you just the same.
Do you know what an associate in a law office is?
No.
Well, that's what I am. If you talk to me, it's almost the same as talking to Mr. Benedict. I'd be glad to tell him all about you, and together we can try and help you. Do you need a lawyer?
Yes. No.
Which is it? Yes or no?
If I tell you, will you promise to keep it out of the newspapers?
Sure. I can try to do that, yes.
Please. Because my father's in enough trouble already.
I'm sorry to hear that. Who is your father?
Leo Calburn. I'm Laurie Calburn.
Laurie? Why don't you sit down here?
They say my father stole all that money from the insurance company and ran away to Mexico. But he didn't steal it. I'm sure he didn't. That's why I thought if Mr. Benedict would defend him like he's defending Mr. Dalt.
Where's your mother?
She's dead.
I'm sorry. Where do you live now?
Fairview boarding school.
And does he know you're here?
No. It was my idea to come and see Mr. Benedict. After I read in the paper about him helping Mr. Dalt, I thought maybe he could help my father, too. Mr. Tabor, will you help my father, please?
Yes, of course, if he asked me. Have you had any dinner?
No. Who are you calling?
A friend of mine.
You make a mighty fine Gibson, Miss Wagner.
Thank you. Hello? Oh, yes, Mr. Tabor.
Would you do me a very special favor? I have a very young and very beautiful friend from out of town who's very hungry and very tired and needs someone to talk with very badly.
No, no trouble at all. Yes, of course, I'll be expecting her. Right. Bye. Mr. Buchanan, how would you feel about some nice, warmed-over pot roast?
Here, just the two of us alone?
No. We're going to have a chaperone.
Laurie, you promised.
Hi. Who is he? Policeman? No, he's not a policeman. Were you in jail? No, I wasn't in
She was
jail.
visiting mutual friends in San Francisco.
Oh, sure she was. Who are you?
I'm her uncle.
Oh, Miss Smith told us all about it. Did you steal some money and run away? Like your father did? No, no!
Laurie! Laurie? Look at me.
No, no, please. Leave me alone. Please leave me alone.
It's pretty tough, isn't it? You feel the whole world's against you and no one really cares what happens to you? That's the way you feel right now, I know. I know that's the way your father feels. Laurie, listen to me. You haven't done anything to be ashamed of. You deserve a place on this earth, in this school. Those girls haven't grown up yet. You're doing it right now, and you're that much ahead of them. I want you to stay here and prove that to them. If you run away, you'll just prove you're afraid and ashamed. And I don't think you have to be. And one of these days, your father will be back here. Sure, they said. I heard it, too. Remember when I first met you and you wouldn't tell me your name? Well, it's Laurie Calburn, and it's a good name, and you have every reason to be proud of it. Because it's you.
Shall we go in?
Gentlemen, Mitchison Dalt is not the first man that I've defended in a criminal action, and he won't be the last. Just as this is not the first corporation that has retained me as its general counsel, and it won't be the last. And most certainly, this is not the first time that I'll be criticized for the nature of a case. But I can't allow that criticism to become important to me any more than I can allow the Constitution of the United States to become unimportant to me. The Sixth Amendment specifically guarantees every accused the right to counsel. At various times, I've defended killers, rapists, dope peddlers, kidnappers. I've often defended clients for whom I had no sympathy or respect, and many times I've knowingly defended clients who were guilty. If today I were to learn that Mitchison Dalt is guilty, I'd still represent him as a lawyer. Because as a lawyer, I have a legal and moral obligation to see that he receives a fair and impartial trial. I want you to understand that a lawyer represents the client and not the crime. I can do no less than represent Mitchison Dalt. And I can do no less than tender my resignation as your general counsel.
Garfield 10713. Oh, yes, Mr. Buchanan. No, I promise I won't be late. Yes, I'm on my way.
Trudy still out there?
Yeah. Trudy?
Yes, sir?
Why don't you take off your hat and don't make Mr. Pete Cahern, general counsel for the Adelphic Insurance Company, feel unwelcome when he steps off that elevator 40 seconds from now.
Yes, sir.
I took Laurie Calhoun back to school today, sir. She's a good child. She deserves something better than Leo Calburn for a father.
How do you know that? You've never met Calburn. Maybe he's a thief, maybe he isn't. Maybe he's an honorable man. Maybe deep down in his heart he wants to be a good father. Competent counsel doesn't defend an accused murderer by arguing that the client's victim deserved to die. Get it?
Got it.
Yeah, Trudy. Show Mr. Cahill in, Trudy. All right, listen over for the day. Get out.
Good evening, Sam.
Hi, Pete.
Thanks for buying me a drink.
You're welcome. And I think I'll buy myself one.
2 billion years for man to evolve from jellyfish. Mitchison Dalt reversed the process.
I'm sick of hearing that stuff about Dalt. Dalt says he's innocent.
Ha, ha. We think he's got half of $822,000 somewhere.
What's your proposition?
Drop the civil suit against him. If he's found guilty on the criminal charges, I'll use my influence to see that restitution is made.
Is he able to do that?
He might be.
He'll have to do a lot better than might be in court, Sam.
Let's take a hypothetical situation, the kind you like to use in court yourself. You're suing Dalt, but somebody knows that Adelphic is already in trouble with the Insurance Commission. They decide to add to the pressure. They start an investigation of your new executives. Maybe they find something, maybe they don't. But Adelphic's name has been in the papers every day, and insurance franchises have been revoked before.
Sam, you wouldn't do anything like that.
Oh, I wouldn't. But I'm not the only lawyer in town. Dalt can fire me anytime he wants to. He's a sick man and a desperate man.
Dalt's a guilty man, Sam. Bet your money on it.
I gotta see him, and I gotta see him right now.
Come on in, Harry.
Oh, Sam! Sam, he skipped.
Huh? Who?
Mitchison Dalt, who else? Watch out for those thin ones, Sam, boy. You can't trust them. $25,000 out down the drain. Sam, you know where he is?
No, I don't. You need a drink.
No, I don't drink, Sam. It's bad for my gallbladder. My doctor says it's poison. Dalt's a sick man. Believe me, I'm sicker.
You know Pete Cahill?
No.
Well, you do now. Pete, this is Harry Owens.
Oh.
Hi. We need another drink, Sam.
And $25,000. Here, feel my heart.
Oh, Harry.
Sam. Oh.
Yes. How's the weather in Mexico City, Mr. Ibanez? Fine. Yes, I'll be arriving on, Trudy? On, flight 705, ETA 9:30 in the morning. Yes. Thank you. I'll see you at the airport. Goodbye.
You think you'll be able to persuade Laurie's father to come back with you?
That depends upon how good a salesman I am.
She's a lovely little girl, Mr. Tabor. I'm counting on you.
You know, I always figured my first trip to Mexico City would be on my honeymoon. If I stay around this office, I doubt if I'll have time for a honeymoon.
You are so right, Mr. Tabor. You are so absolutely darned right.
Well, nice of you to drop by.
Why didn't you call me?
I didn't know how long I'd be here.
That's no excuse. What happened?
Well, Saturday night, the pain got a little too much for me, and I called a doctor, and he suggested I check in here.
What is it?
Well, sir, it's getting worse, and they're making some tests. I can imagine what the district attorney's saying, that I came home just to get my stomach relined.
Forget it.
I have had some time to do some thinking. You know, I hated you those first couple of days for pressing me to take a good look at myself. I'm not so sure now. I think I should have done that ages ago.
I went over Adelphic's books down at the district attorney's office. I found a number of irregularities.
Leo Calvin.
Yeah?
You can't expect much help from him.
Don't be too sure of that.
I know him. You and I are going to have to do this alone.
You know, on the basis of your illness, I could get a postponement of the trial.
No, thank you. No postponement. I want to face it. Whatever's going to happen to me, I want it to happen now.
I've reserved a very nice room for you with a magnificent view of the mountains. Is this your first time in Mexico City?
Yes. It's very beautiful.
Does the altitude bother you? Some people need an entire day of rest.
Senor Ibanez, I don't have time for a day of rest.
Of course. This Dolt case. It is something of a sensation. Even here, the newspapers have been giving it a great deal of space.
I want to see Calburn as soon as possible.
I've already made arrangement for you to see him at a place about 40 kilometers south of here. We can drive out there this evening.
Then I'll be able to fly back first thing in the morning.
Certainly.
No, thank you.
I will make arrangements for your flight.
You've been very kind.
Well, the least I could do. Perhaps when you see Senor Calburn, I could be of more service to you in my capacity of attorney. However, I seriously doubt it. I've had several conversations with Senor Calburn. I offered my services here to take care of any technicalities should he decide to go back. He was very polite, but very firm. He told me he had no need for lawyers at this time. He's an interesting man. It's a pity you must be leaving so soon, Senor Tabor. One cannot take in all the beauty of Mexico City in such a short time.
One can always try, Senor Ibanez.
Senor Calburn.
Good evening, Senor Ibanez.
Allow me to introduce Senor Tabor.
How do you do, Mr. Tabor?
Mr. Calburn.
Senorita de Vega, Senor Ibanez y Senor Tabor.
Mucho gusto.
Nuestro placer. La señorita es muy hermosa.
Gracias. Are these the gentlemen you told me about?
Yes, my dear.
And I'll excuse myself for a few moments.
Please.
You will be more comfortable, and so will I. I'll be with Senor Aguilar.
A very charming companion.
Yes, I think so. Gentlemen, what will you have to drink?
Scotch is fine.
A margarita.
Federico, una margarita y dos whiskey, por favor. Great convenience in the Spanish language, Mr. Tabor. The word for whiskey is whiskey. How do you like Mexico City, Mr. Tabor?
I wish I could stay to enjoy it. But a friend of yours is going to trial the day after tomorrow, and I have to get back.
Ah, yes, poor Mitch. What are his chances?
You'd stand a very good chance, Mr. Calburn, if you'd go back with me tomorrow at the 9 o'clock flight.
Yes, but I won't. You're young, Mr. Tabor, but I don't think you're naive. What's happening to Mitch is his own fault. You didn't seriously come all the way down here to ask me to come back.
No, but I was hoping to get a deposition.
That's pretty naive, too.
We could go over to the American consulate right now.
Yes, we could, but we won't. Muchas gracias.
Then a statement right here.
No trip, no deposition, no statement. But I'll pay for the drink you're having and listen to the news from home. Salud.
Salud.
I'm afraid the news isn't very good.
Oh?
Your daughter ran away from school last week. Because of the humiliation she received at being your daughter, she came to see me.
You're lying.
No, I'm not.
Where is she now?
I took her back to Fairview. She didn't want to go back, but she went. I don't know how long she'll stay.
She'll do what I tell her.
Yes, she probably will. She respects and loves you very much.
Mr. Tabor, I think you've had your say and your drink.
You must have been a very good father before you deserted her.
I haven't deserted her. She's going to spend her whole vacation with me as soon as school is out.
Is that enough? Senor Ibanez told me this trip would be useless, but I had to see for myself. Excuse me. Good night.
Senor?
I can still ask for a continuance. It can't hurt anything. It can only help. There's no need for you to stand trial now. Not now, not till you're strong enough.
I've already told you I'm through running. No more. There's no exit. I don't know where to go anyway. See, I met a girl about a year ago. She was very young, lovely, gentle, soft voice. Everything I'd ever hoped for. She came to Mexico, and the dream came true. And then she left me.
What are you trying to tell me?
When Calvin first came to me with the proposition, I said no. That was the first time. But the second time, I said yes.
You're guilty.
You never really believed me, did you?
At times I did, at times I didn't. What happened to the money?
It's all in the safe deposit box in Mexico. Most of it's still left. I'm giving you power of attorney. Will you make sure that's returned?
You make sure it's returned. 20 minutes before we go to trial is a lousy time to tell me that you're a liar and a thief.
I agree, Counselor. I'm afraid it's the only time. You see, I got some news today. And it seems that my ulcer isn't an ulcer after all.
How bad is it?
Bad as it can get. Well, it was an awkward plan to begin with. But I thought we might have a chance to get away with it. But now it looks like I'm not going to get away with anything. Oh, lente, curate noctis equi. Huh? Remember your Latin, Sam?
Run softly, oh softly. Horses of the night.
That's the one.
Your Honor, I ask the court to permit the defendant to withdraw his former plea for the purpose of entering another and different plea.
Very well, Mr. Benedict. Motion granted. Mr. Clerk, arraign the defendant.
Mr. Dalt, how do you plead?
Guilty, Your Honor.
Would Your Honor hear me for a moment?
Go ahead, Mr. Benedict.
Well, first of all, I want the court to know that Mr. Dalt came out of the hospital this morning, where he is still a patient, in order to be here. I told him I could request a continuance, but he refused. Mr. Dalt asked me to present him without adornment, so I'll do just that. He delivers himself to the mercy of this court in the hope that he can atone for his wrongs. Your Honor, full restitution will be made.
Mr. Benedict, it's not the purpose of this court to take advantage of this man's ill health. In view of the fact that he's hospitalized, we'll continue this case until such time as he's released from the hospital. Bail to continue as heretofore ordered. In the meantime, I refer this matter to the probation department for a report.
Come on, let's get out of here. Get an ambulance, quickly.
I'm too... Shh. Quiet and save your strength.
Mr. Benedict, for you. The hospital.
Hello? Thank you. Mitchison Dalt is dead. Te mortuus nil nisi bonum. Well.
Sam, meet Mr. Calburn and his daughter Laurie. Mr. Benedict.
How do you do?
How do you do, Mr. Benedict? We are in need of a very good lawyer.
I've just been through quite an ordeal with a friend of yours. He neglected to tell me the truth until it was too late.
Is it too late for me to tell the truth?
No.
Well, that's what I want to do.
Under those circumstances, I think we can do business.
Hello, Laurie. Did you get the tickets?
Yes, but they're not very good seats, Miss Wagner.
Are they together? Then they're very good seats, Mr. Buchanan. I'll be right with you. Yes, Mr. Benedict. No, Mr. Benedict, I will not come in with my book. It's 6 o'clock, I have a date, and I'm not going to work overtime again tonight. With a man, Mr. Benedict. A very nice man. Thank you, Mr. Benedict. Good night.